President Trump and advisor Elon Musk are targeting the IRS for their Department of Government Efficiency's next round of layoffs. More than 6,000 IRS employees are expected to receive termination notices by the end of the week.
We're studying every agency and deciding who to let go and why. And we're doing so very rationally with a lot of support from analysis.
Musk, who is set to speak at the Conservative Political Action Committee conference Thursday, claims the cuts are saving taxpayers billions.
Already saving $50 billion in a single year, which over a 10-year period would be $500 billion.
But some lawmakers say the cuts are coming too fast and too deep.
I'm all over being supportive of finding efficiencies, eliminating the waste, fraud, and abuse there. But there is a way that we go about it, and we do it within the confines of the law.
The campaign to slash the size of government is headed across the Potomac to the Pentagon, where CBS News has learned the administration told senior leaders to prepare for an 8% budget cut.
We're cutting spending with the advice of our IT consultant, Elon Musk.
The Pentagon is expected to shift those funds to other Defense Department programs that are priorities for the president, such as border security. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
This is the Nation's Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. Thousands of IRS employees are being fired. And naturally, which should be natural, people are cheering, right? Because naturally everybody despises the IRS because they continue to take money from the American people. They continue to never tell us what our money goes towards, except when they want to gaslight us and get us angry and tell us it's going to Ukraine and it's going to transgender surgeries and things like that, which they only tell you to get you fired up so they can convince you of eventually the solution for how to fix all the problems that they're deliberately creating via sabotage, right? But the stories about hiring more IRS agents, right? How IRS agents were targeting conservatives and auditing conservatives. Right? All these stories have been done by design, so everybody out there is cheering this. How thousands of IRS employees have been fired. Maybe some Democrats aren't. We see protests and all these people in the streets about, they shouldn't be losing their jobs. That's not fair, but only because they hate Donald Trump so much. But nobody likes paying taxes, so naturally, the destruction of the IRS and the dismantling of it sounds like a good thing. But it's not. It's not a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Because what is going to replace the IRS is worse. Because when you have AI through the IRS, everything is going to be tracked and monitored. You're not going to have to file taxes anymore. It's going to be automatically deducted. So when you lie on your taxes, when you don't file your taxes, those things are going to be gone. People don't realize that. They just hear this and they're like, yes, Trump's getting rid of the IRS. We're not going to pay taxes anymore. And Trump says, I'll give everybody 20% of their money back. We don't need these people. They don't do anything, right? So the media creates propaganda around it. It's comical. Look at some of this stuff that's out there. Employees describe chaos, heightened emotions, and added security at IRS offices following the firings, right? Listen to how fake this quote is from an anonymous source. I mean, it's like a 5-year-old wrote it. Emotions are high. People are arguing with management, throwing books, kicking chairs in frustration. The bottom line is, this wasn't handled with care, and these people have no idea where their next paycheck will come from, one IRS employee told CNN. And of course, they want people to feel bad for that, but don't forget how many paychecks the government took away from people who refused to poison themselves, right? So you have these stories out there about all of these IRS agents being fired. And nobody's thinking to themselves about, well, what's going to come in? What's going to replace it, right? They're thinking to themselves, this is great because these guys target conservatives. These guys are being armed. They're hiring more IRS agents, right? Nobody likes the IRS. That's pretty clear because really what they're doing is illegal, right? So the alt-right media runs with these stories like, this is so good. This is Trump and Musk. This is the best thing ever, right? Get the IRS, right? They can't think past that level of what's going to replace it. And they're already telling you what's going to replace it because I'm the only one out there that I could think of who's covering the AI governance in detail almost daily to show you what they're doing, right? So the IRS commissioner has indicated that AI is going to play a growing role in future tax collection. Look at all these stories out here from the last month or so. IRS deploying AI tools, right? Last year, IRS AI system to flag returns for audit, which may include unintended bias report fines. The IRS will use AI to do more tax audits, right? Here is a news clip, and make sure you stick around afterward. Listen to what they're saying about AI, and they mention how people need, the more people comply to this, and the more the government says, hey, we're going to use AI for this, AI for that, and fire these people, and there's no pushback, then they could just move forward with this AI enslavement. Listen to this, and I'll tell you where this is headed next.
Tax day is just a few weeks away. Make sure you know that. Now the IRS is using artificial intelligence, making sure people aren't playing the system.
And while it could come in handy to stop tax evaders, lawmakers are raising some concerns over invasions of privacy. Jordan Burroughs joins us now in studio to break it all down for us.
Chris and Sandra, the latest information is House Republicans are looking into whether the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, is using artificial intelligence to spy on people. They say they have reason to believe the IRS and the Department of Justice are monitoring millions of Americans' private transactions, bank accounts, and financial information without legal process using some sort of AI-powered system. Here at CBS News Detroit, we spoke to a researcher with AI to hear his take on this. His name is Dan Fagella, and Fagella said the growth of AI in the private sector is monumental and will only continue to grow. He added the trend isn't going away, but it'll take a while until people accept this technology. Fagella said the IRS AI tech will find commonalities and patterns within taxpayers' information. He said this tech already exists in some aspects of finance.
The government, or private companies for that matter, are able to make really robust predictive decisions about sort of what to investigate, what to do, who to give a loan to, who not to give a loan to, what data should be permitted and should not be, and is there a way to hold that accountable? I think that whole ecosystem has to level up. I also think there's much broader conversations and bigger dialogues that are going to happen about the government actually sort of handling AI development at a national level. I think we're about to see leaps in this technology that are so gigantic that they'll very likely shake up the job market and very likely shake up sort of day-to-day human life in a really, really robust way, like much larger leaps than ChatGPT.
Fagella said the integration of AI will happen slowly. He says he understands there's fear that revolves around this, but added this is the way of the future, so people are going to need to catch on and embrace it. In studio, Jordan Burroughs, CBS News, Detroit.
So, of course, really, when you hear that, if you are somebody who files your taxes and you pay your taxes, I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in regards to that. But more than 213.333 million returns and other forms were filed electronically. These represented 78.6% of all filings. For individual tax returns, 90.7% were filed electronically. So 90.7 filed electronically. So the first thing that anybody out there who does pay their taxes can do, while the government's firing all of these IRS agents, which everybody out there is fine with, right? I mean, we should just be taking down the entire tax system, right? And the government should be held accountable for every dollar they spend. All these things are true. That's why people are, they're falling into this with Trump and Musk because they don't know what's coming next. But what you could do, if you do file, is you could handwrite your taxes. Write them in hand, mail them in. Because the more people do it electronically, the more they can remove humans and replace it with AI. Because your consent, just this right here is your consent. Filing electronically. You could fill it out in TurboTax if you want, but print it, send it in the mail, because it's going to take a long time for them to manually put it in, especially when they're firing people. But they know that everybody's doing it digitally. So once it all goes into the system digitally, well, they don't need humans anymore. Now AI can monitor it, and it'll automatically flag you. And guess what? The IRS isn't going away. The people might be, the people that they've stereotyped, right? They tell you that they're targeting conservatives, or conservatives are angry. They tell you that they waste your tax money on, there's so many stories out there about what the IRS does with the money that they make every year and the employees they make and the money that goes into just, the IRS buildings and how much coffee they buy. There's so much stuff out there that they've fed people to make them irate because everybody hates the IRS. But always paying attention to this. IRS purchases Nvidia DGX B200 SuperPod, okay? Do you know what that is? That's a super computer, a super AI computer. And Nvidia, if anyone out there doesn't know, Nvidia is the main primary partner of the Stargate project. So Nvidia is listed as a key technology partner in the Stargate project, a large-scale U.S. government initiative focused on developing AI infrastructure, where they are expected to contribute their GPU tech and AI platforms to the venture alongside companies like OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank, right? Nvidia is considered a primary partner for Stargate, okay? So Nvidia and the IRS are working together while the humans are getting thrown out the door because nobody out there is mailing in their taxes anymore. Everybody continues to allow this transition to tech. It's more convenient. It's more fun, right? Everybody loves their phone. They're addicted. It's the worst addiction we've ever seen in human history. Never mentioned, right? We've had all these other addictions, which I'm sure are awful for people who have addiction problems, but there's no addiction worse than technology. People spend more time in their tech than they do outside with family members. They're obsessed with it, right? So that's how we've allowed the government to move forward now. They've given you 10 years of getting addicted to this, and now nobody can get off of it. Right? 10, 15 years of the cell phone, and every year more and more things being done on a phone, banking being done online, purchases being done on the phone. They don't even give you plane tickets to board a plane anymore. You scan a code, all done by design. Where it's convenience, it feels, and you're like, oh, this is great. I don't have to print the ticket as if that was hard in the first place, right? It saves time because people are in a rush to get nowhere. But then the next thing they're going to realize is that while we're all filing, or supposedly we're all filing our taxes and doing it electronically, right? Because everybody's doing it electronically. I mean, you'd be very hard pressed to find anyone who's mailing it in, okay? So that's part of the reason we're gonna fire employees because they still expect you to file electronically. So for anyone out there who is, I recommend you do that. But unfortunately, they're gonna phase it out, like they phased out phones from 3G to 4G to force you in to 5G. But this is not the solution, okay? For anyone out there, all these people think is that Trump's firing the IRS is going away, less audits, this is great, we hate these people, we hate them people, the people who steal your money. I mean, of course you don't like them, right? But this is the solution that they're not telling you about, that the alt-right media won't discuss, because they'll just kiss Trump and Musk's rear end without telling you the nightmare that's coming. U.S. IRS to buy Nvidia supercomputer. Nvidia is the one who's working on the AI government infrastructure with Stargate. You will not have to file your taxes anymore, okay? And that you're going to hear people hear that and they're going to go, that's great. I'm not going to file my taxes anymore. Yeah, Trump's the best, right? Yeah, he's the best. Because with AI infrastructure, you won't need to file it because every single thing that you do will be accounted for. Every purchase that you make will be accounted for. And then all of a sudden, when you think about deductions, right? Well, they'll be accounted for. They'll tell you it'll automatically do your deductions for you, right? You won't be able to contact a human if they don't do one of your deductions because once the digital infrastructure is in place and digital payments are in place where you can only pay digitally, digital currency, everything's going to be done. It's going to be sucked out of your bank account. There's not going to be an April 2nd deadline or whatever the deadline is to send in your taxes. It'll be done. Every time you make a purchase, it'll be deducted. And you'll see less and less and less in your bank account. And you won't realize it. And then, of course, there'll be universal basic income, so you won't have to worry about it. And then the next thing you know, you're going to see taxes being deducted based on carbon footprint, right? This is what it all leads to if we allow technology to continue to move in this direction. And that's what the Trump administration's job is for the globalist New World Order. These idiots don't get it. And I'm calling them idiots because these are the people who defend Trump because they don't get it. Because all they hear is Trump is making sure men play men's sports and women play women's sports. Trump is getting rid of all that woke crap. Trump's going after the IRS. They hear basic things that for basic level thinking that make them cheer. And of course, those are all things that everyone should be, not even be cheering. I mean, this is just normal, the way the normal society should be, right? We shouldn't even be having a debate about men playing women's sports. It shouldn't even be a debate, right? The stuff we saw in the White House with Biden, it shouldn't have been allowed to occur, right? But they did it by design. So everybody's just focusing on everything's going back to normal. The stock market's going up, right? And while that's happening, nobody realizes that, the teardown of the healthcare system, the teardown of the IRS, the teardown of all these agencies is being replaced with AI. And every movement you make is going to be tracked and monitored. So you won't have to worry about the IRS coming to your door, armed IRS agents, all this propaganda they put out over the years to make people fearful that the IRS is going to show up at their front door. No, it'll just be automatically done. You won't even have to file your taxes anymore with this AI infrastructure in place. So nobody sees it and everybody's cheering it. And it's scary. It's scary. The IRS with Nvidia is now the person, if Nvidia is really in charge of, they're the main primary aspect of this AI infrastructure that Trump is bringing in. We know about OpenAI and all that other crap, Oracle. It's going through Nvidia. And they're going to develop the algorithm that the IRS is going to use, okay? The IRS ain't going anywhere. It's just getting a facelift, and the facelift is going to be worse. All this stuff they're bringing with the tech, it might sound good to you because you're so livid over the acting that the Democrats have done over the last decade to make you hate humans and feel like, hey, tech is better than these woke people. Well, that's done by design. So that once the tech is in place, then you're going to regret it because you're going to give all your rights up to technology. And that is the Tower of Babel rebuilt. That is AI governance is what they want. Okay, it's the rebuilding of the Tower of Babel. It's all governments connected through artificial intelligence and every aspect of your life connected through AI, monitored and tracked, including underneath your skin. I thank everybody for being here. Don't fall for the propaganda. It's so easy to get sucked into these things. When you watch the news, say, what are they trying to make me feel and why? Because the government is not your friend. And nothing they're doing, whether the people pretend to be on your side or not, is for you. It's for them to enslave all of us. Democrats, Republicans. Stop cheering on these frauds. Pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to what they talk about at the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg meeting, all these meetings, the World Government Summit. The common thing is AI governance. We need AI governance. And guess what? All these people are getting their news from Alex Jones, controlled InfoWars, baiting them into things about, oh, we got to go after Fauci. We got to go after, all these guys. Trump was side by side with Fauci. He's the father of the vax, but nobody's thinking about that, right? Right? So the alt-right media is just pulling you in, going, how great is Trump? How great is Musk? They're sticking it to him. And these people are just getting sucked in without realizing that humanity is about to be doomed because AI is not a Google search. AI is going to control and monitor, again, every single thing you do, everything you buy, and every movement you make. It's literally going to be under your skin if you pay attention to the stuff they're talking about with AI healthcare. I thank you all for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.